I'm going to show you how to create a faceless YouTube channel using AI. One that actually makes money. 2 weeks ago, I started an AI leveraged YouTube channel. We just got monetized and are currently on the path to earning thousands of dollars per month. And this is how you do the same. These are the 5 high-level blocks when running a faceless YouTube channel. And AI can be applied to each of these blocks at varying levels of impact. Technically, you can fully automate a channel using AI, but you won't make money. The key to accelerating and monetizing your YouTube channel is understanding how can AI help me in each of these blocks to yield me a competitive advantage. But first, we need to know the tools, so let's go through them block by block. Creating really good video ideas requires a level of understanding that I don't really think AI has penetrated yet. Yes, you can utilize data in these cases, but a lot of times you can't experiment with titles and use human psychology and emotion to determine what's going to invoke the biggest reaction in the user. Not with YouTube yet anyway. Packaging, on the other hand, tells a completely different story. Let's separate this into titles and thumbnail. When you know your video concept and what it is you want to create, there are some really good tools you can leverage here. I use ChatGPT to help me come up with better forms of wording a title. Generally, you want YouTube titles to be as simple and as short as possible. And when you're like me and you're not that good with your words, you can give ChatGPT these constraints and have it spit out multiple titles that you can then iterate on and improve. In my opinion, ChatGPT does a much better job than the likes of vidIQ. Now, you can't say title without saying thumbnail. And thumbnails are 90% psychology, 10% design, which is why thumbnail design for me gets a 2 out of 5 in terms of AI impact. Yes, tools like Midjourney can be used to create insane thumbnails like this, but when you compare the impact of a video containing this thumbnail versus this thumbnail, yes, AI wins in terms of design, but it doesn't in terms of clickability. To make a good thumbnail, you fundamentally have to understand what's going to get people to click, which then dictates the prompt. So without that fundamental understanding, you're not really going to be able to leverage AI to the maximum advantage. Up until this point, we've only talked about small boy stuff. When we move on to the next sections, AI really comes into its own. The best way to think of AI's impact on YouTube is on a horizontal scale. 0 being AI is no help, 100 being AI can basically do all of the work for us. And when it comes to scripting, if you think AI can get you from 0 to 100, you're probably not generating good enough scripts to get you views. The reason being, AI hasn't quite grasped the storytelling ability to capture one's attention for a long period of time. However, when it comes to going from 0 to 50, 60, or even 70% of the way, tools like ChatGPT and Jasper are phenomenal. Personally, I like to use it for 2 things. Number 1, helping me generate an outline for a video in a topic that I'm not necessarily 100% confident in. This outline allows me to give the scriptwriter a better place to start and structure for how I think the video is going to flow. And even on a personal level, I always use likes of ChatGPT and Jasper to help me reword something or to phrase it in a simpler manner. And when you start getting really good at communicating with the AI and giving it prompts like this to generate outputs like this, you can then leverage it to your max capacity where you're starting to get 70, 80, even 90% of the way there when generating your scripts. I haven't gotten there yet, but maybe you have. The reason this only gets a 2 out of 5 stars for me is because I do think that AI will have the biggest impact on scripting, not just in YouTube, but in the entertainment space as a whole. And I think it has an awful long way to go. But what doesn't have a long way to go is the voiceover element of the process. And this is where me personally, I've really started to use AI to my advantage. Whether it be content I've created for my businesses in the past or for these faceless YouTube channels, one of the biggest costs involved is hiring a voiceover artist. Good voiceover artists are not cheap, and cheap voiceover artists are not good. If you have bad audio, you don't stand a chance. But AI generated synthesizing of voices has become so good that sometimes it's difficult to tell whether it's an AI voice
or a real voice.
It's not perfect because it doesn't yet understand perfect pitch and how to use tone to also communicate in your language, but by a mile, the best tool on the market is 11 Labs. Personally, we've used it for 2 things. Number 1, it has its own preset voices, and you can also clone voices. And I'm going to be completely honest, this is the reason we got monetized so fast. However, in the next year, I think the next section, which is production, has the biggest room to grow to help creators and YouTube channels. Now, when I talk about production here, I'm talking about anything that's visual. So whatever the editor is editing to produce that video. If you look at text to speech, text to audio, and even text to image right now, the output of these services are becoming just as good, if not better, than what's out there in the real world. Text to video is like that annoying younger sibling that you know is going to be the best at everything, but they're not quite there yet. For now, they're small and they get thrown around the place. But for now, we need to take stock and just appreciate the brilliance of some tools like Wonder Studio. Wonder Studio can automatically animate a single angled video into a computer generated live action scene. Runaway Studios is a text to video service that allows you to input text and output a video. Don't get me wrong, what they're doing is outrageously impressive, but when it comes to helping you leverage content on YouTube, it doesn't yet get me excited. One tool that you can use now is a tool called DID. Like 11 Labs, it uses AI to produce a synthesized voice, but it also accompanies that voice with an avatar that mouths and acts exactly like a real person according to the words that you prompt it to speak. Now this is insane because what it does is it eliminates the need for a presenter. If you're going to listen to one thing in this video, listen to this. Regardless of how many AI tools you use, it is completely useless unless those AI tools contribute to a competitive advantage. And in the case of YouTube, there are 4 types of competitive advantages. Can you use AI to make a process cheaper? Can you use AI to create something better? Can you use it to create something faster? Or can you use it to create something new? Now, these competitive advantages aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, meaning you can have multiple of them at once. However, they are not all equal. Let's rewind 2 weeks to explain. I know a bit about YouTube, I know a little bit about AI, but I know absolutely nothing about AI-enabled YouTube. And because I don't really like talking about things I don't have first-hand experience on, I'm gonna start an AI-enabled YouTube channel. And then we blew up and got monetized in 2 weeks. To understand how we did that, this is the breakdown of how we leveraged AI in this channel. Now, first impressions here is that there's no real clear competitive advantage, but the devil does really lie in the detail here. Let's go through each of the competitive advantages. First of all, did we make it cheaper? Yes, we did. We used 11 Labs for the voiceover, and it was literally 25 times cheaper than it would be if we were to hire a voice artist. But does that mean the audience cares? No, the audience couldn't give a flying about this, which is why making something cheaper is a competitive advantage that only contributes to your profitability. Did we make it faster? Yes, we did, but very minimally. Instead of waiting a day for the voiceover artist to give us the voiceover, we got it done in an hour. You could argue that that benefits the audience in a little way, particularly if we're a news channel and we need to give, very quick updates as to what's happening, but we weren't, and that difference really did not matter to the audience. So I would say the competitive advantage on this side is minimal. Did we use AI to make the content better? Strictly speaking, if we're talking purely about the main competitive advantage we talked about so far, which is the voiceover, no. In fact, we probably made it a little bit worse, because if you listened very, very closely, you could tell that it was a computer-generated voice. So why did it blow up? From the audience perspective, it's just lesser quality content. It blew up because we used AI to create something new. And this is the key to creating an AI-enabled faceless YouTube channel that actually makes money. If you leverage the AI to do something that wasn't possible before, you've created a purple zebra in amongst cows. Don't know where that came from. Specifically, we use the AI cloning technology and combine that with another proven niche. Instead of doing what everybody else was doing, we had something new. Think of it like this. If you use AI to create slightly better thumbnails, you're probably iterating on your channel's performance by 1%. Whereas if you flip the content upside down, it's impossible for people not to notice you. The most important thing you can do to start your channel is to see if you can leverage any of the tools we mentioned above to create a purple zebra amongst cows. If you do that, you can even afford to create subpar content at the very start because people will watch it for the concept. And that's kind of what we're doing. Now, I won't tell you what the channel is directly, but if you do want a hint as to what this channel is, go back to this timestamp. If you manage to figure out what the channel niche is, let me know down below, but don't say specifically what that niche is, because that niche is your ticket to generating a YouTube channel that makes money. That's all from me. We'll see you in the next one. Slán.